My research is on how divorce and separation affects children. My table of contents includes parent-child relationships, non-resident parents, parental loss, transitions, parent conflict, solutions to parent conflict, economic loss, coping efficiency, trying to make it work, my conclusion, and my works cited page. Children that experience their parents getting a divorce or separation are more likely to have behavioral, psychological, and developmental problems. There are many factors that contribute to these side effects, such as transitions, parent-child relationships, income, and many others. However, many of these effects can be lessened by being more prepared for the breakup and teaching children how to deal with these stressors. Parent-child relationships. This is very important for kids. It is found that physically close but physically distant parent-child relationships had detrimental effects on children. Relationships that were psychologically and physically close showed that children had less behavioral problems. Boundaries should be set. Children are confused about who is included in the family, so it's good to establish whether dad's a part of the family or stepmom's a part of the family, and it's okay if you don't agree on these. Effects of the non-resident parent. Positive relationships correlated with contact between child and father, the quality of the mother-child relationship, frequency of contact between mother and former partner. So there was more positive relationships when these factors were involved and less problems for the children with the parent that didn't live at home. Conflicts of the non-resident parent between child and father was correlated with mother and child conflict between child and stepfather. Child-father relationships are particularly important for children from high-risk families. It's good for the non-resident parent to be involved in the child's life, and it's good for children to have emotional support from both sides. They both have something to offer. Parental loss. Loss of contact with a parent is never good for the kids. Children lose out on knowledge that the other parent can share, skills that they can teach the child, and resources such as emotional support and financial support. So parental loss can have negative effects on kids. Transitions is another negative effect on children. Children that experience multiple transitions are more likely to have behavioral problems. Transitions are things such as parent separation, cohabitating romantic partners, remarriage of a single parent. Each time a child goes through a transition, they're more likely to have more and more problems every time. Studies of children in elementary school who experience 2 or more transitions are more likely to have disruptive behavior, poor emotional adjustment, and lower grades. So like I said before, it's important. It's found that kids are better off being raised by a single parent than to have that parent be remarried or living with somebody else. Parent conflict. This can have a very negative effect on children before and after divorce. This can lower the child's well-being. In high conflict situations, children had more problems. In low conflict situations, children had less problems. Sometimes single-parent families with no conflict are better than a 2-parent family that has conflict. Children are found to be better off with just a single parent if there's no conflict involved. Solutions to parent conflict is compromise, sharing discipline strategies, short conversations and interactions so you can get along easier, focus on the children's well-being instead of on the relationship between the parents and don't involve the children in the conflicts. Next, I'm going to talk about parental competence. This includes skills dealing with children, having patience and understanding. There is overwhelming evidence that indicate that parent skills and the types of relationships between parent and child are strong influences on how well children are doing. So it's important that the custodial parent is able to provide some stability. It's also important to have good child rearing skills, effective discipline that works, and to show the importance of school so they can do better mentally and psychologically with that. It's found that there's this diminished parenting practices after divorce or separation. You get out of routine, kind of the schedule changes quite a bit, so it's good to try to keep the same schedule even though things are different. Economic losses is a big factor that contributes to psychological and behavioral effects on kids. Two-parent families obviously are better off. They have more income. Single parent, they're affected because there's less income. It can cause disruptions. They might not be able to play sports or do things they used to do when there was more money available. And overall, it just causes more problems for children. Coping efficiency. It's found that children that have good coping efficiency and and are able to handle stressors don't have the behavioral problems, and they use active coping skills like positive reframing and self-calming thoughts. And of course, use different strategies for different situations. Trying to make it work. Problems start for children about 4 to 12 years before parents are separated or divorced. One of these elements is due to marital conflict. Marital conflict can be worse than divorce, and it also affects parent-child relationship, and it can affect discipline, and discipline can be harder and not be as effective. My conclusion is children being raised by single parents are more likely to have behavioral and developmental problems, but there are preventative measures that can lessen these problems. Teaching your child coping strategies, less parental conflict, bonding time with both parents is important, and less transitions. And overall, I really enjoyed this project since I am a single parent, and I found where I've made my own mistakes and errors and kind of learned some things that I could do so maybe my kids don't have to suffer as much or anymore with the situation they're in. And that's all.